Welcome to the Quantum Awakening podcast, where we invite you to embark on a profound exploration of conscious evolution, human transformation, DNA upgrades, and the harmonious fusion of science and spirituality. Guiding you through this enlightening journey are your dynamic hosts, Sharon and Amanda Bowden. With their extensive knowledge and expertise, they will serve as your trusted leaders of knowledge. Sharon, with her deep spiritual insight and celestial race knowledge, will shed light on the mystical aspects of your existence. Meanwhile, Amanda will share her expertise around manifesting, mind-body-soul connections, and how science and psychology are intertwined with spirituality. Join us on a transformative journey to enhance your perspective and to bring you enlightenment.
Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast. We're back. Yeah, we're back. Hey. So we're going to talk about past lives today. Is the past lives? What's your thoughts on past lives? So we're going to do it from each of us, from our experiences, aren't we? And just take what resonates with you, of course. Because the point of these podcasts is we'll give you our knowledge, our information, our experiences, and it might trigger something in you. It might lead you to questioning more. And it's all positive.
And it might activate you as well on your spiritual path to bring more awareness.
Yes, that is definitely true. Right, so past lives. Well, I'm going to start this off because I've got an awful lot to say about it.
I know you'll have. Go on.
I went through my life up to about my early 40s, having odd spiritual experiences, including standing in a city called Southampton, stepping back in time into a trance state and seeing it in another existence. And I had no clue at the time why or what that was.
Right.
Two could be a past life, or it could be a multiverse timeline I'd connected with, where I'd existed in another timeline or into somebody else's timeline. But what started me on this spiritual journey, I was working really hard with my husband in a marketing business, and we went to a farm where we set up a new business space, and the lady next door was a holistic healer. Now, all through my life, I've had this dream of the same house, looking in on the house. There was a bedroom I was scared to go into. I go to a graveyard, I visit a grave, I sensed it was a man, I sensed a child there, and it was the same dream, and I'd see skeletons and all sorts of weird things going on in the graveyard, like I could see down into the graves, and yeah, it was a bit spooky, and I'd have this dream on and off all through my life. So I told this lovely lady who I'd met, this holistic healer, and she just looked at me and said, "You need a past life regression," which she was trained in. Well, it took me 6 months because I was like, oh no, voodoo and all this stuff. I wasn't getting into it. Yeah, when you don't know. And then obviously my guides worked on me. And then one day I went, yeah, okay. So I went into this past life regression. It wasn't recorded. She took notes, and it turned out to be this life I had. I described the house. I described who I was. I was married to a Napoleon soldier, very high up in the ranks. I had a son and I had a daughter.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and like to promote my books. I've written a book called Adeline, Soul Connection, and all my known past lives are in that book that I believe that I have had.
How many have you had?
There's about 6 or 7 in there, but I've got the feeling I've had more.
Yeah.
But, so,
that's cool.
Some people believe in past lives, some don't. Now, this was the trigger for my spiritual journey. This triggered me into Reiki meditation, which led me to mediumship, which led me to trance, which led me to channeling. So my journey was triggered by that. Everybody's trigger is going to be different, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So some people believe in past lives. I've had other people say to me that a past life is a guide. It could be interpreted as past life. So it's a guide that, say the guide's called John, like my guide, and he is guiding humans and having experiences with these humans. He's not actually incarnated, that he could then be a guide to another human, and the human could pick up on his past experiences. So that's one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's one angle to it. All I know from my understanding of them and the regressions I've had, that one of them, which was quite specific, I was diagnosed with something called fibromyalgia a long time ago, and it was always on my left side. And she said, well, let's do a past life and see if you can connect with the left side of your body. And it actually turned out I'd been burnt in a fire, and the beam had landed on the left side of my body. Now, I also know this lady who'd done a past life regression on a child who had a skin condition, and it was, I don't know what it was called, it wasn't eczema, it would get quite hot, a little bit liquidy to the touch, and it could be all over the body or small patches. This mother had been through all the medicals, and somebody had said about this lady who'd helped people, so she took her son there, he was about 11 years old, and she took him into a past life, and it turned out he was in the war, and he was in a plane, he was shot down, and the flames were burning him. And he'd carried this into his present existence, so she did something which disconnected him from it, and his skin cleared up.
I've heard this story around so many children, and
Yeah.
a lot of them around like the Titanic and different things, where children are bringing stories up and their parents don't believe them, so they kind of shut them down and say, no, this is silly. But if you listen to kids, they're open up to the age of like 7, isn't it? And then if you don't shut them down, they continue.
There was an American series on a while ago. Oh, it must be a couple of years now. I'll say a while ago, my time frame, and floating around. You know what I mean? And it was an American one, and they were all like under 5, and these kids were saying, "But my name's like that. He could be called Ben." We say, "No, my name's Andrew so and so," and they could be describing their lives as a soldier, and all of them obviously make it interesting for TV. The ones they investigated could find these people. And some of them, some people say, some people believe you die and go straight back into a past life. I don't believe that. If you follow my work, you'd understand that. I believe that we go back to a higher self, and our soul connection, human essence, goes back to the source energy, and we decide perhaps we need to come back again and learn something else, or we could go to another planet, learn something else, or we stay in the energy we're existing in and carry on with our lives. So you got any thoughts on past lives?
Oh my god,
Well, keep going, you know what I'm like.
Oh, you should see us, guys. When we get together for a cup of tea, we don't shut up. And like her husband's like, oh, the spookies are in again.
He leaves the room, doesn't he? He can't cope with us.
So like for me, like past lives is quite a broad spectrum, like to go. Like for me, my belief kind of turned around past lives, because when we was going through the lockdowns and we had quite more time, I was having these dreams, really vivid dreams, and one of them was around it's either China or Japan or something, and I seen a gold coin, and it says on it like the samurai coin.
Oh yeah.
And like my friend was there, and we was in a taxi, and I was giving this guy, and he gave me change, and it was a samurai coin, a gold one, and I was like, what's that about? And I knew I had to go to someone, because I had a reading with another medium who spoke about going through an awakening, and I would find out who my twin flame was. And then I went to do past life regression with a lady, and it's literally just going through like hypnosis. So for those of you who don't know what hypnosis is, it's bringing you into like a trance state that you kind of feel like when you're staring, kind of relaxing and just talking to your unconscious mind, and then going back to the time around this. And it turns out that the gold coin was connected to a guide that I didn't know about, which came about, I think it was 2020. I went to have past life regression, and it turns out he was my twin flame, and so he's decided to guide me from, I don't know what realm he's in, but so he's a samurai.
He's quite high up, as you just said.
And
8 or 9.
And he passed over on the war field during, I can't remember what period. I've done loads of research up about it, because if we know anything about autistic people, we like to research the hell out of stuff when we find new things out. And so
On the opposite, sir.
yeah, I'm terrible. See, this is why we work so well together, though, because we really are like opposites. We gel really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my opening of it, and I was like really like wow, because I learned who a new guide was, and I was starting to learn around who twin flames were, and I just finished doing my training in NLP in the November before we came into 2020, and I'd learned about timeline therapy and gone through sessions about myself going through, and we learned around where you can do past life regression on a timeline. So you kind of go up above your timeline in a little bit of a trance state, like relaxed, and you go back to the first event of which something had happened subconsciously, and then sometimes it could be like a past life, and like we'll ask how many past lives it was, and then you just say it quickly because you're talking to subconscious mind. And it could be that it not only is a past life, as in somewhere where we've had a past life, it could also be something that's been passed down like genealogically from like one of our ancestors, like it
DNA.
could be in our DNA. It could be something's gone down the family tree, as in like behaviours, your beliefs and values, that kind of thing. So that's really interesting.
When people do past life regression and train in it, they could well be not really fully understanding what they're connecting to.
Yeah, much,
because there's a lot of areas like DNA, multiverse timelines. So that, I feel, okay, that's going to change in the future with this quantum era, the understanding of it. So it's going to affect a lot of things. That's quantum, there's quantum energy that's coming in.
So if you've connected with us on the first episode, you'll know that if Sharon starts saying okay and like things, she's talking to a guy, John, which is really cool. And we forget we're doing it.
Yeah, that's how we are when we're together. But sorry, you go.
I was going to say, there's like one other thing as well that I can think of right now. So like, we'll be going through the conscious evolution and the quantum awakening and expanding. You've got like the solar flares that are going on right now, and this year we've had over 14, and we normally supposedly have around 2.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
that'd explain a lot.
Yeah. And so what this is like, it's coming in and it's bringing light not only within the core of Earth, because it goes through Earth and some of it stays within the middle or passes through, but it stays within us as well, and it unlocks our DNA, which can unlock like past lives and knowledge that we've held from past lives and different things, past experiences we've gone through. And you kind of, people say like you're learning new skills, but you're kind of not. You're kind of reconnecting with
the ancient
what
ways.
you've already gone through.
John just said that we'll only bring forward, from what you just said, what we need at that time in our essential point in human evolution. So all of us be individual.
That makes sense.
Well, the other thing with this past life, my husband then had a past life with the same lady. I wasn't in the room, and he started to, because also I'll talk about it a lot, and it turned out through his connection that he actually revealed that we'd had several past lives together.
Ooh.
So that's the other side of it, is that we actually, our higher selves, our human essences, can choose to stay. So this could be the twin flame coming in, because we were told we were twin flames. We've also on the
oh my god,
so on the other side we've had our own existences but worked together. So it could be the essence, the human essence. It could be connecting with the higher self, and we've chosen to keep coming back and do different things to help humanity and spiritually grow.
That's really cool. And then like, I've got a pen because I'm writing stuff down as Sharon's talking, ideas are popping in my head. And like, I reread one of Sharon's books, I can't remember what it's called this year, one with the story about Atlantis, wasn't it?
Atlantis?
Was it Atlantis or
I don't know.
Oh, I can't quite remember.
Pennyworth?
Either that,
there's so many now.
I know, I've read them, most of them as well.
So I don't know. Illumination?
The one with your story of the experience of Dakarat.
That's Atlantis and New Earth, yeah. That's those two,
cool.
yeah.
That one. And then, like, I reread it this year, and when you were talking about connections and different things, I was reading the story, and I was like, oh my God, this is me. And this is me. And then I was like, oh my God, we're like connected not only here, but we've been connected for like how many lifetimes?
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a light bulb moment. And I was like, oh my God. And like my daughter, who was 9, she was like, what are you on about now, Mum? I was like, oh my God, it's just so exciting.
Well, the great thing about, I was saying in the last podcast we did, how they're trying to help us through art, writing, and all sorts of ways, bringing in new language and information, is that through books, my own personal books have been a journey for the last 9 years. The first one was written at my ascension level at that point, and the ones I'm writing now in the last year have been in the ascension point I'm at now. So my understanding has altered. So I've actually gone back through the earlier books and changed the language into this language they're using now, so terminology and stuff. So they're always working with us, trying to change it. I've divided completely off past lives there, but it's really interesting. So back to past lives, I'm going to bring in multiverse timelines here.
Ooh.
So I was just describing to Amanda earlier about a dream I had last night, and I have very vivid dreams, and I feel like it's a life I'm living. Now, from my understanding now, working with my guys in the last year, is that you can connect to multiverse timelines where you have had a previous existence, or your energy just happens to pick up on an existence that's out there, and you at that moment tune into it and you feel you're part of it. So I can't even answer that for you. I'm just telling you what I've experienced. But the multiverse timelines has come into my knowledge and understanding in the last year. They've brought me this.
Yeah, because it's like when you go back to Nostradamus and where he was able to come from, where he was, and channel or connect into where we are now.
Yeah, on that timeline.
History, yeah.
So it's an energy line.
And so that's like multiverse, isn't it? Because there's so many different streams that you connect into, and until you're aware of it, it's kind of massive, really, isn't it? When you realise what it is.
Let's talk about ghosts when we're talking about this.
Ghost.
What's the ghost?
Oh.
So ghosts are people that have. There's 2 or 3 things around a ghost. One can be a multiverse timeline where that person has existed, and there's been trauma around it. Perhaps they've been beheaded. Perhaps they fell down the stairs. And that part of that multiverse timeline is trapped a little bit in that house. And certain individuals who are attuned or have the ability to come out of the 3D reality, connect, could see that lady walking down the stairs. It would be non-communicative. It would be the same image every time, and people say, oh yeah, I saw the ghost walking down the corridor, walk through the door, and then that's what you hear.
I was literally going to say, when you went on to that then, I was going to say, like, for empaths, like, both empaths, and like many of you out there as well, like when you walk into like castles and different things like that, and you can feel the energy, it's the same kind
and
of
then
thing.
The other one is you do have the intellectual hauntings, where there is possible that when the soul and the human essence are due to go over, we are conscious beings, and there's intelligence even when we've died, obviously, and we can choose to stay, or they're frightened, they don't understand what's going on. It's not very often, and they can become entrapped into that feeling that they are still existing. Guides will try to guide them back, or they'll use mediums on Earth to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
But it does exist, and these are bodies, entities that will communicate with you, can be disruptive, or could be the opposite. They can be calming. That's my understanding of that. And then you've got your entities that perhaps don't belong to Earth, who, an experience the other week. So I just got to say this. God, they all keep popping in my head. So somebody I know came to me who's a medium empathic and had been to visit an old place, an old building, and after it they felt themselves attachment.
Right.
So they came to me, and I went into trance, and I pulled John forward, and John spoke to them, and it was an image of a monk, because it was built on an old monastery, and he had connected to this man's energy, but he was not haunting him, he was not attached to him, he was observing. And he actually was one of the guardians of this space. So this man, he wasn't there to hurt this man or anything. And the funny thing is, we then asked this energy to leave him, and he accepted this and he went. And then when I spoke to this man who came to me a few days later, he'd been absolutely fine. So things like that can happen. There's an awful lot that can happen out there. And I think also, if you're going ghost hunting and you're going into you will be connecting to all sorts of things, including past existences. And I think sometimes what people can see is a multiverse timeline coming to fruition.
Yeah, and I always have in my head now ingrained is that to switch off when you go to places like this, because I never knew when I was walking around, and I remember going to watching a medium in an old pub once, and I felt really sick when I went in there, and I didn't have a clue what it was at the time. And then I remember you saying, like, whenever you go somewhere and you feel like that, switch yourself down or turn off, because we can always walk around and be open to all these energies as well, and it can drain us.
We'll have to do a podcast on that, I think. Yeah, about mediumship, connecting energies.
Energy levels.
Be a good one, won't it?
Yeah, what do you guys think?
They agree. Well, so back to past lives, really. It's just, do you believe in them? I believe we can reincarnate. The other thing as well, which came out when I was doing my book on past lives and the soul connection, is that I actually turned out in one of my regressions that I'd actually been a guide to a young boy in the Second World War. And he's another image that had been through my life. I'd seen him, felt his name was Harry. I could describe him every time. He kept popping up every now and again. I didn't know he was a guide or what. And then when from this regression I had, it turned out I was actually his guide.
Oh.
I was his guide on this his life. So I was reversing the role, which was
funny.
interesting. And when I was writing the book, because I couldn't remember it, they started to bring in where he died, and it was his school and a base.
Wow.
And I looked it up, and it existed.
Wow.
So on 2 of the past lives, they gave me information before I'd looked at anything.
And so you had the validation.
So I had the validation, yeah. And then on the one where I was the French lady married to the French soldier, the son went to a military school, and they channeled this name to me, and I looked it up, and it existed back then.
Wow.
And I thought, oh my God, isn't that amazing? It's
That is
like
amazing.
So to me, that's validation. I'm even a complete loopball. My guys are lying, or I have had past lives. So I really do believe in them, for whatever good reason they're there for.
And there's something else, like what I picked up from reading your book this year. I think it was the Atlantis one with the story, or I can't remember which one it was. And then I asked if I could have permission to take parts out of there to put in my hero's journey.
It was Atlantis, yeah.
So I put in my hero's journey, and it was around where you'd written about one of my past life experiences around the Egyptian times. And I can't remember his name, like Djoza, I can't pronounce it. It's in the book anyway, I can't pronounce the names. And then last year, being 2022, I actually went to London and visited the museum, and I wondered why I wanted to go in the museum and look at all these Egyptian symbols, all the stuff that they brought through, the Rosetta Stone as well, which weirdly enough, I got the idea for the Rosetta Stone because it was on an episode from Star Trek Discoveries, which was mad.
And it's in that one of those films from I can't remember his name now. I've seen it in a film, Rosetta Stone.
Yeah.
The timeline of that.
If you haven't seen it, go and check it out, because the language is on there. It explains how we connect with like animals and different things like that.
Well, lots
very
of us,
interesting.
it's been revealed to a lot of light workers now. And when I was running my groups and stuff, a lot of them had links to the Egyptian era when we did past life or we did trance. And a lot of them had existed in that timeline, because that's a timeline of celestials,
And
you know, and
yeah.
Atlantis and all that, the Mayans, all of that was celestial beings, humanoids, blah, blah, blah. So,
Yeah, it's really
it's quite
interesting.
fascinating.
Yeah,
So you're going to have your own opinion on past lives, guys and girls, but, you know, we just thought we'd put our thoughts over to you and our experiences.
yeah. Put
Anything
a
else
spin
you
on
want to add
it.
before we depart?
No, I don't think that's so much that I know right now. I believe in past lives, because I've gone back through them and I'm learning around different things as well, and a lot of future stuff as well, which is kind of interesting.
I've read a couple of books, not mine, that I were led to a few years ago, and it's psychiatrist.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I won't give names out here, so I don't know about copyright and stuff, but yeah, so this, a few psychiatrists now are discovering that the trauma people are coming with, they realise it wasn't from this earth. And this one guy was taking them into regression, into past lives, but he also took him into future timelines of how the timeline could change if they dealt with what had occurred in this past life.
Yeah, that
And
makes
I
sense.
thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, because I was just thought now, I've written about, it just popped up in my head, it's like literally we have what we call emotions in our body, and like the scientific name for that is like somatics. It could be positive emotions, it could be negative, and the only reason we give it a positive and negative label is because it depends how our perspective is around what we're experiencing. Like anger can be positive sometimes because it's your body communicating to you exactly what it is, and like those somatics can be passed down and brought into your present life from a past life, because we're here to clear our trauma, not only from now but from past lives as well, because it's karma that we've picked up and we've brought into this life, so we can send higher.
Wow, just a light bulb moment.
Ta-da!
So we got applause behind me. So if we decide to come back again, and we've cleared this trauma in this life, from everything that's gone behind us, we're going to go on a hell of a high level in this next life.
Or it might,
we haven't got it to heal.
That's it.
We're up there.
Or you might decide that you're not coming back the next time round in your incarnation, and like I always tell my daughter that I won't be in her next lifetime, but I'll be her guide, because I'll be ascending to the next level and I won't be coming back to Earth.
I keep saying I'm not coming back, but they're saying I am. I'm coming back in 300 years when the big change comes in.
Yeah, but that's a good change.
It's the experience that. So a lot of people come back because of what they've experienced in their life. That's why a lot of people have Red Indian guides, because hundreds of years ago, the Pleiadians were part of this. That they taught them spirituality and how to kill and thank for the spirit of the animal. You look after the land, you look after Earth. And these people, even though they were living what you'd think as a basic life, were very spiritual. So a lot of those higher selves, essences of life, have chosen to come back now and present themselves as that Indian they were in that life.
Which reminds me that, so I went to an event on Saturday and I've been learning around my guide, who's been around for quite a while now, quite some years, but I've asked my team to learn more about them and who they are, and like build a relationship with them, because I don't like having a one-way thing and going, can you do this, do that. I like to build a relationship. And so I've got a guy whose name is Tom, and they use plain words for me because it's easier for my mind.
Like John and that.
Yeah, it's just easier for us because we're humans. And he's my ascension guide, who's like guiding me and also giving out channeled messages for me to give out as well. But his past life is helping with where we and I currently am on our ascension path, because he was an Indian and he was part of a tribe,
Yeah.
small tribe.
Yeah.
And then at the event on Saturday, people were coming in and telling me similar things, that they've got guides who are Indian.
Yeah,
And I was
exactly.
like, wow. And then there's also the fact that, like, the universal numbers that they're teaching me to teach other people through Master Miracle Manifester was what the Lemurians taught their younglings back in the times before Atlantis. So
That's why they
neat.
keep saying the ancient ways are coming back, because we are.
Yeah.
We're going. They've almost like trying to restart us without us all killing ourselves with a nuclear bomb or something. They're trying to, or you know what I mean? They're trying to restart humanity in this way.
Or like set us on. Well, we're already there because it's already preordained. It just depends what path we take.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different ways that you can go. Like you said, we're a multi-dimensional place, universe, and there's so many different possibilities and timelines that we can go down, and it's really interesting.
So shall we end it there then?
I think that's a good one.
Yeah, it's good. Well, we look forward to the next podcast with you, which I'm sure we'll think of some amazing things to talk to you about again. We hope you've enjoyed it, and it's goodbye from me, Sharon.
And Amanda. And if you'd like us to do a podcast episode on something you're interested in, then do get in touch.
Oh yes, that'd be brilliant.
Either on...
As long as they're not decorating.
No,
Don't
just
like decorating.
questions or something that you'd like to know. You can either email myself, Amanda Bowden222@gmail.com, or you can...
Sharon@bengalrose.co.uk.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.